So in this video I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the One Piece live action Netflix trailer, and if you don't care about that, goodbye. So anime adaptations have had a really hard time in recent years trying to figure out what they want to be, and it's just because anime is a very hard thing to adapt because it's just culturally it's not the same as like an American thing. It's not the same as Western things. Anime works because it has a very specific audience, and that audience really likes anime. You know, there's a reason why a lot of people, a lot of anime fans will just watch whatever anime comes out, because they're just conditioned to this stuff. But if someone's never seen anime before and you like recommend an anime to them, there's a good chance it's going to be harder to get them into that space. Anime is a lot more like mainstream now than it used to be. That's why these adaptations exist. They exist so that they can try to tell this story and so that you can get into watching the actual original stuff. They want to turn you into anime fans. That's why adaptations exist. I mean, hell, that's also why video game adaptations exist. They exist so that you can play the game so that that industry succeeds, and thus it's all pushing it. It's marketing, baby. I mean, come on. However, the anime side of those adaptations has had a very rocky place in history. Going back as far as like Dragon Ball Evolution, that came out, that kind of pissed all over the chances of getting good anime. And I think Japan's been putting out a lot of adaptations. Usually they drop them on Netflix and nobody really ever talks about them, and I assume it's probably because they're not very good. The hard thing to realize is that anime adaptations in a Western culture are never really going to work unless you change some things. There's too much of a divide between what an anime is, which is basically a very exaggerated cartoon with specific traits about it, and it just doesn't like translate to live action very easily. And the few attempts that they've made in the last couple decades or so have just fallen completely flat. I will say Death Note had the most amount of potential to be something good. I think if you turn Netflix into like a limited series at Netflix, give it like 8 episodes, have them all be like an hour long, maybe a season 2 and 3, maybe, I actually think you probably could have made it work really well. But by trying to put it all in one movie, I just think it kind of fell apart. And I think they were trying too hard to be too different to the point where they kind of completely veered off the path of what Death Note is. You could adapt Death Note very, very easily because it's a relatively simple story. It's mainly just a drama. It's mainly just like a cop drama, essentially. And also, you had Willem Dafoe as Ryuk and completely squandered him. You got probably one of the best actors you could to play one of the coolest characters from Death Note, and somehow you just completely dropped the ball. And I will never forgive Netflix for doing that. Blah, 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 you guys don't care. Let's just talk about the One Piece trailer, because this has been a thing for a while. And ever since they announced that they were doing a live-action One Piece, I've been very curious. I've been following One Piece since I think 2020, and I'm a decent fan of it. I will admit the show has plenty of flaws, and I don't think it's a perfect story or anything by any means. I wouldn't call it my favorite anime or anything, but it's a pretty enjoyable story, and there's totally reasons why people consider it one of the best like anime of all time. It's very, very unique. But its uniqueness is also kind of what alienates it from being adapted into live action, especially. To put it simple, One Piece, more than like any anime that exists, is really hyper stylized and cartoony, and that just does not translate well to like a live action setting. To me, it's like adapting Sonic to live action, which I never thought could work, and I still don't really like it. That's why Sonic 2 is my favorite out of those two movies, because they lean a little bit farther away from the live action stuff and kind of go into big robots and like Knuckles and Tails and all that stuff, and I prefer that. I just wish those Sonic movies were animated. That's why I like the Mario movie, because it is animated. And One Piece works as well as it does because it is a goofy, hyper stylized, cartoony, wacky anime with the main character who's proportioned like a cartoon character whose arms stretch all across the screen. So just hearing that and the fact that they wanted to bring it to live action, I get it from like a business standpoint. Yeah, it's One Piece. It's one of the biggest animes of all time. Let's turn it into a live action thing. But like stylistically, artistically, does it make any sense? No, not really. So I've been following the project with this morbid curiosity for a long time because I really wanted to see how they'd handle this and how it would unfold. And the more and more information we got, the more and more curious I became. But one of the major things I wanted from this adaptation was them to do their own thing. I wanted them to respect the roots of the story, and you can follow the overall story. You don't have to change much there. And the overall vision should be the same. But there's a lot of specifics that should be different. There's a lot of ways to handle it. I think the world is a big example. And I love One Piece's world, but admittedly, although it's about pirates, the pirate side of thing never really, like, the pirates aren't really portrayed as like these gritty, like dirty pirates. They're usually just like these whatever. Like, you've got the Straw Hat crew isn't really portrayed as that kind of pirates, as well as the other crews in this. There are a couple crews like the Blackbeard pirates. Those guys are kind of portrayed as like those dirty, greasy pirates. But there aren't a lot of like port towns, and they don't do a lot with that kind of pirate environment. When you think of pirates, you probably think of Pirates of the Caribbean. And there's not a lot of that elements into One Piece. And it doesn't have to be there. It doesn't at all, because this is Oda's story, and he wants to do what he wants to do, and he's got his own creative vision, and you can see that he's got his own way that he perceives the world. He's not doing it based off of Pirates of the Caribbean. He's not doing it influenced by anything else really at the time. He's just doing it based on his own prerogative, and that's cool. I like it. It works very well for the manga. But for this adaptation, now that you're taking it and bringing it into the real world, you should bring in some of those connections that I think you could actually do a lot of work with. So I wanted a lot more grittier environments. I wanted these more realized, lived-in worlds. I wanted these like dirtier, greasier, more disgusting, unwashed pirates. I wanted them to go hardcore into the old school pirate aesthetic. And from what it seems like, they might be doing that, which makes me very, very happy. I will just say right off the bat, I think the casting here is pretty goddamn good. I'm not disappointed with a lot of these guys at all. Now, granted, I haven't seen them fully. I need to see them in the show. I need to see how they act together. But purely based on how much chemistry they seem to have off camera and on camera, I have a lot of faith in them. I think this is a very good cast of people. I'm curious to see how it translates to the show, because if you've got a bunch of actors who are really happy to work together and are having a lot of fun, there's a good chance that's going to show on camera. Because if you have a bunch of actors who don't care about each other and are just there for a paycheck, it's boring. It's very boring to watch. But you got something like One Piece, which is inherently fun, and you should be having fun with it. There should be lots of jokes, there should be lots of banter going on. The main actor who's playing Luffy, I don't remember his name, I apologize, perfectly captures Luffy as a character. A lot of people will disagree with me on that, but I think his energy and I think his tone and I think his attitude, his carefree nature is just perfectly captured by this actor. A lot of the major complaints about this show are going to be anime fans complaining about just stupid nonsense. So please don't take any of that seriously. Don't let that deter you. Don't say they completely butchered Luffy's character, because I don't think they did. I think this actor really does capture Luffy very well from what this trailer presents. I see it. He's won me over. This is a live action Luffy. I don't care if he has an accent. Some people are like, Luffy doesn't sound like that. What does he sound like? Does he sound like a Japanese man? Does he sound like a Japanese woman in her 60s? No. Emily Rudd as Nami is something I'm actually very, very excited about, because I always liked Nami's character in the anime, but the biggest thing holding her back was her awful character design. And yeah, I absolutely despise the way female characters are drawn in this series. I've never really liked it, honestly. Unless it's like Big Mom or one of the more unique characters, I hate the default way that Oda draws female characters. I just don't like it. They all look very similar. So for lack of better words, I'm very happy that Nami won't just be a giant pair of tits. She's actually going to be a character who will hopefully be very well written and performed very well. And I already like her a lot in this trailer. So that's an immediate bonus right off the bat. We don't really see the rest of the other characters to get too much of a sense of them, except for Zoro. And I will say, I'm not sure if I like Zoro's casting just yet. He definitely has like Zoro's quiet energy, but for me personally, watching the English dub, and yes, I watched the English dub, that's going to be something that people are going to get really mad at me about, but he's got an ego to him. And I just don't know if this guy will have that energy. He's kind of meant to be like loud and kind of rugged, and this guy, he seems a little bit like, seems a little soft. I don't know, for lack of better terms. I could be wrong about this. I hope he proves me wrong, but I always imagine Zoro being kind of this big, tough, like, rugged looking guy. Doesn't seem like the best fit for me, but I hope he proves me wrong because people really like Zoro, and yeah, let's hope people get their Zoro. Everyone else we haven't seen enough of, although I will say I was a little disappointed to see Usopp didn't have the long nose. Granted, I kind of expected it, but still made me a little sad, mostly because Usopp's my favorite character in the entire show. As long as he's played like Usopp, as long as he's the same character, I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm just happy he's here. And again, the actor seems very enthusiastic about him, and he seems like he's having a lot of fun with it, so that's really all that matters. And that goes for everyone. It seems like a lot of people are having a lot of fun talking about this project and just being a part of it, so that makes me more happy than anything. Another quick note about like the actors and stuff. I will say all the characters having like extremely like bright dyed hair, it's a little cheesy. I get it. I totally get it. You can't take away Zoro's green hair. You can't take away Nami's hair. You can't take away Shanks' red hair. But I was kind of expecting Shanks to be a little bit more like a ginger. We don't see Shanks fully. He's just in the trailer for 1 second. And this is a dumb complaint. I don't know. It is a little weird to just see like real ass humans with like dyed like colored hair that's supposed to be their natural hair color. It's just a little bizarre, I think. It works for anime because it's anime and people just have random color hair in anime. That's fine. It's also a cartoon. Who cares, right? But for a live action thing, it is very strange. It does kind of strike me as one of the first like, ugh, I don't know about that. And just speaking as a whole, everything else in this trailer, from the designs of the ships to the design of the towns to the sea monster design, oh, I'm loving it all. The sea monster was a very nice surprise. I did not think we were going to see him in the trailer, and he looks great. I mean, the CGI probably isn't the best, but I don't really care about bad CGI at this point. I mean, I love MODOK, so who am I to say anything about this? And I think it all looks really, really good. I will admit, seeing Luffy's weird CGI arm, yeah, that shit is freaky, but there was no version of that where that wasn't going to look evil. You could have thrown the best visual effect. You could have put Avatar-ass CGI on that hand, and it still would have looked weird and uncanny. Why would it look weird and uncanny? Because it's a weird and uncanny thing. It's a freaking rubber stretchy arm that works way better in a cartoon anime form than it ever would look in a CGI, in a live action show. I'm sorry, that concept doesn't mix well. That's why I honestly thought they were going to get rid of it or adjust it or some way, but no, they're keeping it, and I appreciate that they're keeping it. Although for special attacks like Zoro having the sword in his mouth and also like Luffy with his stretchy abilities, I'm curious to see, for budget's sake, if they're going to do it all the time or if they're going to sprinkle it maybe a little bit in the beginning, maybe a little bit at the ending, because I can see them doing that, and I think that would upset a lot of people. But if Luffy's running around, flinging his arms and kicking around his legs in like every episode, that's a better thing. But I can also see them not doing that because they might want to not be like, we're going to save it for a special moment. We're going to make you wait. And I don't know. Yes, it looks horrible, but there was no world where it was ever going to look good, so I don't know what people were expecting. I will say there's a character in the trailer on one of the worst notes. Her name's Alvida. When her first appearance, she's meant to be like this obese, like disgusting, like evil-looking Ursula-looking pirate woman. Based on the trailer, from how little we see her, she just kind of looks like a normal girl. So I don't know. I think they've already kind of taken that point away. Unless they do some prosthetic work to her, like some weird CGI, but I don't think they will. I think she's just going to look like a normal girl, so. But the thing that absolutely sold me on this trailer was Buggy. Buggy was one of my favorite earliest One Piece villains. I mean, he's great. There's a reason why people love him as much as they do, but seeing him like he is in the trailer makes me so happy, because flashback to when they were first talking about doing a live action One Piece trailer, the only thing I wanted, the thing that I kept thinking about, knowing that they were going to tackle these early episodes and hearing that Buggy was going to be in it, was I really wanted a scary Buggy, because in the original concept art, he's kind of scary looking. And think about it, in this dirty, like, realistic pirate environment, you have a pirate clown. And, okay, he's not terrifying, but that shot of him proves that they're definitely trying to make him more of a sinister-looking character, which, I mean, he's a villain early on, so that makes perfect sense. But, yeah, it made me very happy just to see that. See his warty nose and his, like, disgusting, like, bright blue hair. It just all... And, like, his old makeup, like, it just, man, that sold me on more than anything in this entire trailer. If you just showed me that screenshot, I would have been sold. But like I said, even like the towns and the environments that they're going to, it all looks great, man. The boats, everything here is being adapted so nicely, and it's not just a beat for beat thing. We see what I believe it's called, it's Shelltown, I believe? It's either Shelltown or Cape Town. One of the names, but it's the marine base that they go to early on where Luffy picks up Zoro. That town looks so cool. It doesn't look like that in the anime, but I think they did a really good job at showing a new sort of modern version of it. And I'm a fan. You know, really there's not much else I can say. Overall, I gotta say I am optimistically skeptical. Is that a word I can use? Like, I'm fully prepared for this to not be good, right? But based on this trailer and based on everyone's enthusiasm about the project and based on the fact that they've taken this long to make this when I think it was originally slated for this, well, I'm pretty sure it was slated for last year. Everything combined and all being said, I really do think that this project could work. They need to take their own creative freedoms. They need to not be so faithful to the anime from time to time. You can do your own thing, especially with character designs. Don't feel the need to show 40 feet tall dudes on screen. Have fun with it, mostly. I don't suspect that this show will do very well. In fact, I don't suspect that it will get past season 1. But if we do manage to get season 2, I'd be pretty okay with that. I'm really curious to see, because I already see a lot of people being like, yeah, this looks horrible. And again, these are mostly the anime fans, so I don't really trust what they say. I mean, you should maybe, but also anime fans are extremely biased and they literally just want a straight recreation of everything. And let's be real here, if everything was a beat for beat copy of the anime visually, people would be weirded out. People would be like, this is so weird looking. And people would be like, they should have done their own thing. And now that they're doing like their own thing, mixed with some new stuff, people are like, they don't know how to react. So, it is what it is. In conclusion, I'm excited. You don't have to be excited. If you're a One Piece fan and you think it looks like shit, that's completely fair. Obviously, you're entitled to feel that way. This is just a video of me sharing my opinion. I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I just don't expect it to be good. I don't know. There are things I'm looking forward to it, but I am also aware of the fact that it won't probably be good, but you never know. Because Mario ended up being pretty good, and I thought that was going to be a piece of hot garbage for a while. So, yeah. Same thing with The Last of Us 2. In fact, most adaptations that come out, immediately first thought you think is, that's going to be horrible. And most of the time it is, but then sometimes they surprise you. So, yeah. Go in with an open mind, I guess, if you decide to watch it. If not, why are you watching this video? Anyways, bye guys. More stuff coming out soon, as always. Just taking my sweet butt time. I've been doing a lot of writing lately, actually, on a pretty big video. Hopefully some more news about that coming soon. So,